Good morning, Miss Baligod. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, so my objective today is simple. I am going to facilitate an open conversation with you to see if you're really fit for this role. In terms of our agenda, we will discuss some of your professional experiences and how you approach challenges. And then I will ensure we'll leave enough time at the end for any questions you have for me. Is that good?
Of course, ma'am.
To start off, would you please introduce yourself briefly?
Firstly, thank you for having me today, ma'am. While my resume already outlines my background, what it doesn't fully capture is the work ethic and the discipline that I bring to the table. Currently, I balance two high-demand worlds. I am an accountancy student at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, and I am also a competitive athlete. Managing both successfully requires an exceptional level of organization and strict time management. Because my daily schedule relies entirely on structure and efficiency, a part-time virtual assistant role fits perfectly into my routine. I've realized that I genuinely thrive when managing multiple moving parts, and I take a lot of pride in being someone who is highly reliable and excellent at whatever I commit to. I am specifically looking for a part-time opportunity right now because it allows me to maintain this high standard of excellence across all areas of my life. I wanted to step into a virtual assistant role because it directly utilizes my natural strengths in organization and also my attention to detail. And I'm very excited to connect with you today to share more about how I am in the workplace.
Alright, let's proceed. For my first question, looking at your background in accountancy, how would you connect your level of precision when dealing with high-volume data encoding or administrative tasks?
When it comes to accounting, a single mismatched digit can throw off an entire financial statement. So I've been really trained to view data entry not as a repetitive chore, but as a critical foundation for business decisions. I will use this by treating every data entry like a ledger that must be balanced perfectly the first time. I don't just blindly type. I mentally verify the inputs against the source documents as I go. My academic training has already built my endurance for these, turning repetitive tasks into a personal game where maintaining 100% accuracy is always the ultimate goal.
Second, the job description requires a commitment of 30 hours a week. As a student athlete, your schedule is already packed. Walk me through how your entire week is set. How do you compartmentalize your mind so that when you are on our clock, you are delivering peak performance?
Well, my ability to handle heavy workload relies entirely on strict scheduling. I treat my week like a well-managed budget where every block of time has a specific and non-negotiable purpose. My university classes and athletic training are already fixed, which leaves me with allotted time every single day to fulfill the 30-hour weekly requirement for this role. When I sit down to work for you, my mind shifts completely out of student mode. Because I am a student athlete, I have also trained myself to achieve deep focus instantly, meaning the hours I log for your business are purely high output, zero distraction blocks of time.
Next, since this is a permanent work from home position, we won't be looking over your shoulder to see if you are working your 30 hours. How do you personally define accountability when no one is watching?
For me, accountability is defined by the quality and punctuality of my output. All my life, discipline has always been a daily habit and not just any external requirement. I operate under the principle that my work should speak for itself. You will know that I am working because the assigned tasks will be delivered on time, will be formatted perfectly, and executed with high precision, completely independent of direct supervision. And this only proves how much I really value integrity in my daily life.
For my fourth question, in sports, you have days where you perform flawlessly and days where you have to take tough feedback from a coach to correct a mistake. If we audit your encoded files and find a recurring error that requires you to redo a large batch of work on a tight deadline, how do you handle that feedback mentally and operationally?
Athletics taught me very early on that feedback is never personal. It is the quickest route to excellence. Let's say if an audit report reveals a recurring mistake that I make, I would immediately acknowledge it, of course, and then I will identify the main cause of my error and correct the batch without any complaint. Mentally, I treat it as an adjustment period. I am entirely comfortable with constructive critique because my primary objective is always to deliver accurate results for the team.
And lastly, the job poster mentions an overtime fee of 120 pesos per hour for high volume periods. Because you are already balancing your university load, what is your personal boundary for preventing burnout? How do you ensure that if you take on extra hours, the quality of your data entry remains at its best?
Well, preventing burnout comes down to strict energy management. I know my limits. I know my body well enough, and I am highly protective of the quality of my work. So, if I accept overtime hours during high volume business periods, I ensure those extra hours are scheduled during times when I'm doing well mentally. Also, it helps when I rely on micro breaks to keep my eyes and my brain sharp. I will only commit to overtime hours that I know I can execute at my usual best standard of accuracy.
Alright, thank you for your insightful answers. Now, do you have any other questions about the job or the company?
Yes, ma'am. Since this is a non-voice role, how do you handle urgent and time-sensitive task changes or priority shifts when an encoder is already in the middle of a shift?
We usually pin urgent announcements or tag you directly on our communication channel. We expect our encoders to check the main channel or thread at the beginning of their shift and look out for urgent notifications while working.
That is noted, ma'am. I will make it a habit to keep our workspace communication channel open on a secondary tab so I can seamlessly adjust my encoding priorities without breaking my momentum. Also, for this part-time role, do you prefer a fixed daily schedule for my 30 hours, or is your workflow completely output-based as long as deadlines are met?
Since it's a work-from-home setup, we are generally flexible and output-based, meaning you can choose your own hours as long as you hit your 30-hour weekly target and submit files before the daily deadlines.
I appreciate the clarity, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time and of course for sharing some insights about how your team operates. To close on my end, I just want to reiterate my strong interest in this virtual assistant role. I know that balancing a 30-hour work week alongside my academic and athletic commitments requires a high level of focus. But if my background has taught me anything, it's how to thrive under structure, manage heavy workloads, and deliver results with absolute precision. I am fully prepared to bring that same high standard of accuracy and reliability to your data operations.
Thank you, Ms. Baligod. I really appreciate your energy and how clearly you've laid out on your schedule and work ethic today. Please refer to our HR assistant as she introduces the guidelines for the next steps.
I am looking forward to it, ma'am. Thank you very much.